authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that uplift and inspire us. From personal growth to social change. So grab your teacup and get ready to join the conversation.
Oh, you come on, really? Because they were stored next to each other, that means they were part of a RICO act together?
Well, and also,
but
also, Ashley, my understanding is these freak-offs occurred not at his home, it occurred at hotels.
Right,
I think that they were happening everywhere because they showed that the master bathroom was stocked. They showed the master bathroom was stocked just like every other hotel room with all of those implements, the candles and the lipstick and the heels and the Astroglide.
Well, what is it now, a crime to have sex in a hotel? Are we not allowed to have X in a hotel? Because that is the very place that a lot of people go to have X at, especially if you're a cheater or something of the sort. You go to hotels. If you want to, have an escapade, not at your house or however have you, where, you don't want the, to have the discretion of people in your home, you take them to a hotel. What are you saying, Mr. Levin? It was at a hotel too. Like, yeah, of course it was. Diddy's rich and famous. Who wants to have a bunch of strangers in it? Well, Diddy does. He did. But I'm saying, like, that's probably why he went to a hotel. Most times it's having people all in your house, strangers, escorts, all that, your kids home, walking around. Like, what's really going on? But who knows why rich people do what they do. But that's what he was doing.
Of the guns and the baby oil.
Joe Tacopina, how many bottles of baby oil do you have in your bathroom? I have one and it's lasted 15 years. Honestly, actually 20 because my kid's 20 years old. So I'm telling you, if you have 20 bottles of baby oil and 20 bottles of Astroglide in your closet, it ain't being used for just regular use.
Okay.
Listen, Ashley, I love your proximity.
Even if it's not, what's regular? What is regular use? Until y'all prove that he was aping people with it. I've heard it, but I haven't saw proof of it. Unfortunately, they haven't brought proof about Diddy aping anyone. They've alleged it that it happened. Do we believe that Diddy could have potentially did some shit like that? Yeah, of course. Prove it.
But I actually think it's very nuanced and quite brilliant. The issue is, to Harvey's point of kind of throwing so much at the jury, are they going to, and not to disrespect them in any way, the jurors, but are they, I think it's a tall order to ask the jurors to parse out and keep their eye on so many moving pieces of evidence versus having them focus on what kind of feels more like traditional RICO. The guns, the weapons, the drugs, things of this nature.
Where are the drugs at? We see these guns. They look like my grandpa used them back in war. I didn't see the YNs on the streets with nicer guns than what Diddy had. Is this all you got? You would think Diddy would have some shit. But what is this shit we looking at? That's why I put that in my thumbnail. Like, what is this? What is the drugs on the table? 2 little baggies, $25 a baggie of drugs. What the fuck is that? Ain't no RICO. Goddamn, RICO is kilotons. That is what RICOs do. They bring the people that be pushing tons over here on ships and planes and shit like that. Not somebody sitting there with 2 little 25 bags, nickel bags on the table. I'm laughing at it.
So easy to get distracted by the salacious nature.
Y'all got pictures of the hotel room. Like, so you don't have nothing in the hotel room that we seen yet. I don't know what the jury done seen, but of him like aping people, all the shit y'all hyped us up to believe. Oh, they did try. They trying shit. Not for no Rico. Now, if this was in the state, we'd have been like, uh-oh, nigga. Now, you know you ain't supposed to have that shit. But for federal charges, like, this ain't nothing. This ain't federal nothing. Federals go for the big fish. Diddy's a big fish, but y'all don't look like y'all caught nothing on Diddy this time. Okay, he got big bullets in a gun. Okay. I mean, okay. And now y'all know y'all done seen people with a bigger arsenal of guns than this. Like, I guarantee you, your grandpa got more guns than Diddy. This is the guns that they think that they got for Diddy to, convict him of a trafficking RICO charge or whatever the hell goes on with this shit. What do you have? 4 guns? Ooh, we're scared of Diddy's. His organization, bitch. You better not go around that goddamn court to get fucked up right there.
Unless you say pattern.
And the Astros lied.
Unless you tell that jury, you know what, folks, I'm sorry you've been, bombarded with a parade of these awfuls and parade of these horribles, but it is our job as prosecutors to prove a pattern. And sadly, in the case of Diddy, that's what this shows. Every single place he went, every single place he was, there were patterns of behavior.
Nancy, I've been waiting all week to be able to talk to you about one of the witnesses. His name is Sheree Hayes, and he is known as the Punisher, who was a male exotic dancer who first met Cassie and Diddy.
Look at this sissy la boy. He wasn't ex-trafficked. He didn't say none of that.
Trump International Hotel in New York. He went over there presumably for a birthday party that Diddy was having for just Cassie in the hotel room. Ended up having sex with Cassie. It lasted for 3 years, 5 or 6 times a year.
Oh, that's a sex traffic person. That's an ex-traffic person. A person voluntarily, willingly happy to go and make some money to be an escort for somebody. That's not what a ex-trafficker is. Shit, what? And Nancy Grace knows that all too well because she works with people, in those type of situations in life.
To were the liaisons, but he didn't talk about any kind of force or coercion. I want to bring him in right now. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm confused. Based
Lord,
on your
TMZ done got him up here for the interview, bitch. Let's keep it cute.
Testimony. Why prosecutors called you, because you're from Brooklyn and you did everything in New York, so there's no interstate commerce. And I didn't hear anything you testified about regarding force or coercion. Do you know why they called you? Did they tell you?
They did not. I was actually confused myself. I was contacted first by investigators, even before any charges, somewhere around March to May of 2024. And when they first approached me, my thought process was, "Hey guys, I don't have anything for you." I understood they were Homeland Security. It was specifically human trafficking, and it was clear. I said, "Hey, look, everything was all in the same state. I didn't see any violence, any aggression, anything that would constitute that I believe was a crime." So, I was actually surprised when I was called to testify because I didn't see where my testimony would be significant to the case.
Did you ever ask prosecutors, or did they tell you what your purpose was. Did they coach you? I'm trying to understand this.
I mean, I didn't ask questions. You know, it was stress that, listen, just tell the truth,
we deal in
recall as much information as you can, just in an
yeah.
honest manner. And all of my questions and testimony and even the preparation for the trial was similar to my actual testimony on the stand. So I wasn't sure what it was going to connect to in regards to the case they were trying to prove. But I'm really unaware. I'm lost myself.
Nancy, you are such an effective prosecutor, and I'm having trouble with this one. He seems like an earnest guy. He testified. I don't see how this helped them at all.
Well, the fact that you do not understand the charges has nothing to do with him being a truthful witness on the stand. He is being charged, Sean Combs is being charged with a myriad of charges, and one includes transportation to engage in prostitution. Sir, may I ask you, were you not paid for sex acts? That's prostitution, right?
Yeah, but the interstate transportation part is missing. The interstate transportation part, the Mann Act, requires interstate transportation. He was in state. He just said that.
Thank you. Thank you, y'all. Come on, y'all. What is y'all around here doing? Real people, people out here are somewhere hop, skipping, and jumping in some Rico shit right now. They are jump roping, double dutching, because y'all in there fucking around with Diddy. They didn't probably move 1 million metric tons of shit in the country. Why? The feds is around here fucking with Diddy on some bullshit. They done probably traffic a few billion people in and out this motherfucking country because y'all got y'all eyeballs around there on Diddy's ass. And he got people sitting there talking about, yes, I was a hoe, but goddamn it, I was a good one. And I love me some Puff Daddy. I got all his albums.
Leave state. He didn't come from New Jersey.
As I was trying to say before you so rudely interrupted, I know it's like throwing holy water on a possessed demon. Every time I start explaining the law, Tacopina goes crazy. It kind of got a crazy look in his eye, too. But the point is, the Punisher, Sheree Hayes, is part of a pattern of bringing in sex workers to be paid to perform illicit activities. He's part.
Okay, so what? Nancy Grace, no disrespect, but your husband might have had a prostitute last night. Why? Because you are all up Diddy's ass. Every single second I turn on the TV, you are up Diddy's asshole. So, should he be charged for RICO? If your husband was to sleep with a prostitute and pay her somebody because you always on fucking TV trying to get Diddy convicted? Okay, girl.
Of a bigger picture. The fact that he wasn't flown in from Vegas means nothing. He's one of many proving this case. It's very
one of many. We ain't seen nobody but him. You would think that they would like run an escort lineup. Like, okay, we're gonna put Sheree, we're gonna put Lisa, we're gonna put Anna, we're gonna put Mark, we're gonna put Jason. Back to back to back, we're gonna hit him with all of the ex-trafficked people that he used to transport overstate lines. We're gonna, try to trickle that into the ex-trafficking part of it, okay? We're gonna get them to say that Diddy's ass coerced them to do it, or something like, what the fuck is this? This is better shit. Y'all don't even know how to entrap a nigga no more. I'm done with y'all.
That's what you do. When I beat you on one argument, you fall back. RICO. Well, I can beat you on that argument too, and so can the feds.
It's not the Mann Act.
You're
talking about the Mann Act. You're talking about transportation of sex workers, bringing in sex workers for prostitution.
I'm not talking about the Mann Act. I'm talking about the indictment. Which states?
Which count?
Transporting prostitutes.
Which count?
Third count.
There are multiple counts.
Jermaine, go get our baby out the bus. Excuse me, y'all. My son should be getting out.
Of this, and there are other sex workers that were flown in, and there's testimony of that.
The Mann Act doesn't apply here.
Yes.
Nancy, do you agree?
No, not the Mann Act. This is not a Mann Act case, as you accurately pointed out.
I've been hearing people call it the Mann Act case. I thought the Mann Act was a part of RICO's.
Indictment again, charges bringing in. He's a sex worker, and he's brought. You're talking gibberish. And another thing I don't understand about this panel is that you're all saying, yeah, he firebombed Kid Cudi's car, and you're acting like it's nothing.
It is a Mann Act case.
The indictment lays out arson as one of the predicate.
Here's the things. Sheree has had a stressful enough week. I don't want to heap that on you. So really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So Ashley and Ebony, I think one of the most effective things the prosecutors
Sorry, guys,
did this
I live
week,
by a train.
was call Dawn Hughes to the stand. She is a forensic psychologist who talked essentially about Stockholm syndrome and that there are reasons that women don't leave relationships that are abusive and when the power dynamic is out of whack. And she seemed very effective when it came to trying to kind of blow up this notion that because Cassie stayed for 11 years, that she consented to everything. It seemed like that had an impact.
Yeah, let me tie Sheree Hayes, who we just talked to.
I didn't tell you none of that, and I'm working, so please don't bug me.
I believe that Sheree Hayes not only proved Nancy's point of pattern, maybe not the sex trafficking because he was local, but it's a pattern of behavior. It corroborated all the descriptions that Cassie gave on the stand. And there's Dr. Hughes to come right afterwards to say, you know, the coercion doesn't always look like it does in the movies. Sometimes, you know, this kind of behavior is so much more nuanced. When you are a victim of coercive behavior, if you are an abused wife, girlfriend, husband, you go along with things and you smile to make things better. And Sheree Hayes, the Punisher, said, it didn't look like coercion to me. I was in there doing my prostitution business and everything seemed fine. And there was Dr. Hughes to explain why. I thought it was very, very effective because a lot of people on that jury may not understand domestic violence and they do need a doctor. They do need an expert to explain why somebody would keep going back to that husband who just keeps beating you, keep going back to that boyfriend who just keeps beating you. And that was an incredibly well and articulated argument for why Cassie might go on like this for 11 years.
And Nancy Grace mentions clairvoyance, which is so perfect. It's so perfect, right, Harvey? Because what was it just last week on this very show? We discussed this. Nancy and I talked about how the Stockholm syndrome of it all could affect a victim's not feeling free to leave, not feeling that she had autonomy over whether she stays or goes, and feeling the shame and guilt around that, right? Well, on this very show just last week, we talked about how much the prosecution had to make the case. They couldn't leave the jurors to figure it out. They needed to put just exactly this type of expert witness, this type of clinical forensic psychologist who specializes in physical and sexual abuse to help the jurors, as Ashley pointed out, who are not necessarily experts on these dynamics, understand how they work at a microscopic level. And I think that this was the most brilliant thing the prosecution has done actually so far to make it plain.
Harvey, she's right. Remember last week she had on her pink outfit and she was going to go raise awareness for battered women?
Yep.
And I recall that when I was volunteering at the Battered Women's Center, that they had to train me and train me and train me not to say on the hotline, why don't you leave? Because it's not like that. It's not that simple. And to all of us, we think, well, just leave. But the women feel they can't leave. And if you don't believe them, take a look at that big gash on Cassie Ventura's forehead that she had to have plastic surgery on.
And look what happened when she did get another boyfriend. Right? Look what happened, guys.
Bruises.
Look what happened when Cassie got another boyfriend. She got a boyfriend named Kid Cudi, and everything started to happen to him, too. And then sex tapes were threatened to be released of her and Kid Cudi. That's why you don't leave.
Joe, she was a powerful witness.
Horrible, over-the-top, jealous boyfriend, horrific human being. And I agree with what Ashley just said. I think this witness does help the prosecutors bridge the gap between consent and coercion. I do. But the defense has to do something very important here. The defense has to remind the jury that she never treated the accusers in this case. They have to remind the jury that they never treated the accusers, she never treated the accusers, and her testimony is generalized and theoretical. And that the challenge is to prevent the jury from mistaking clinical analysis for actual proof of what happened in this case. That's going to be the challenge for the defense.
Okay,
it's a powerful witness. Don't get me wrong. But she never spoke to anyone.
And Harvey,
here.
I've just about had it with you too. You keep saying he's just a jealous boyfriend. That's saying like
I just told you I thought this guy. I just thought
just misunderstood.
I literally just said to you I thought this was an incredibly powerful witness. As a matter of fact, our TMZ producer Brian Andrews was in the courtroom. How did the jury respond to Hughes?
Well, what do you drink when you win the Indy 500?
The milk.
We drink the milk.
So, yes, we do know. That's why I wanted to say at the start of this trial that I needed to see and hear more of the, testimony of a psychiatrist. So glad that they introduced that. Okay. I'm sure she's going to tell us about the Stockholm, how Cassie may have been under a lover's spell and under the impression of her receiving some type of a better life to secure a future. If only she did what Diddy wanted her to, and all of this and that. Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunate no one helped that girl. It's unfortunate that no one sat down and really, really told her the potential dangers of what could happen with one blow to the back of the head with a fucking frying pan. Like, that's unfortunate for her. I'm sorry she went through that. I'm praying that she continues to grow in a place in her life where, that won't be forgotten, but it can be very seldomly remembered, as she continues to create better memories for her life, right? So we're going to pray for that for Cassie and her family. Cassie just gave birth to her son, her third child, with Alex Fine, who Diddy hired to be her personal trainer when Diddy and Cassie were involved. Fine, I'm surprised he has not been called to testify. We don't know if he will or won't. I wonder if he will, because he should be able to give some type of a testament to what he experienced coming into now. He's being married to Cassie when he was hired by Diddy to train her. Right. So we would just, have to see. We're coming back in hot with TMZ United States versus Diddy.
Booked it.
Sweet.
So sweet.
Sweet.
You've got options. Book now.
Based on what I saw, Harvey, they started to zone out towards the end of it, especially when the defense went in and they said, hey, isn't it true that you're making $6,000 for being here today and you charge $600 an hour? And then the defense went into the fact that she was actually training other people how to be an expert witness, and that basically she was in the bag for the government, that she had been consulting the government on how they were going to file certain pleadings in the Diddy case. So by the time they were done with her, the good doctor kind of left with her head held high, but a lot of people were kind of like,
So all her analysis always falls on one side of the table. That's something that you point out to a jury, and a jury understands, hey, this is a hired gun for one side. It's that simple.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander, though. If the defense wants to bring any experts up there, the prosecution makes the very same argument. How much were you paid, Mr. Smith?
You're right.
So there was testimony. I can't wait to show you this. There was testimony that Diddy's assistant went to a place called Mel's Diner in the Sunset Strip and went inside and saw Suge Knight there. And Suge Knight was an arch enemy of Diddy. One is Bad Boy Records, one is Death Row Records, and they had real beef. It was a war. When Diddy found out, when the assistant came home, Diddy told the assistant, jump in the car. Diddy took 3 guns, put him in the car, and went to Mel's Diner to find Suge Knight. Suge had left by then, okay? So nothing happened. But about an hour ago, I talked to Suge Knight, who is in prison for something unrelated. And I asked him about it. And when you listen to this, I think he would have been a star witness for the prosecution when it comes to proving racketeering. Here's a little bit of my conversation.
The prosecution made it appear that Diddy was going to confront you in a very ominous way with 3 guns in the car when he went back to Mel's Diner. Did you guys have serious beef to the point where he might have used those guns, do you think?
If he'd have confronted me and he had a gun, you best believe he was going to have to use it. Or something was going to happen. If he had 3 guns, it really was something was going to happen.
Had the disputes between the two of you escalated to the point where there could have been violence?
When you're dealing with drugs, alcohol, and even fear, some people feel if they're scared enough, they feel they got to do something. They can't do it with their hands, so they got to make sure they bring guns.
Do people bring guns to use them or to protect themselves in a situation like this?
If you got the serial number, shade off, you best believe they both need to use them.
So can I ask, when you were at Mel's Diner that night, were you armed?
Harvey, you know I will always tell you, I'm in prison, I probably was armed with my Bible. In other words, you know I ain't going to answer that question, Harvey.
Fair. That's fair.
Guys, I got to tell you,
wow.
If you want to get to racketeering and you see
Harvey
Diddy, well, I'm sorry.
No.
Diddy is going to confront this guy with 3 guns?
That's not racketeering. It has to be a predicate act in furtherance. Racketeering. Rick, listen, it has to be a predicate act in furtherance of the conspiracy. What is the conspiracy with regard to Suge Knight?
You mean like car bombing?
Sex trafficking?
Joe,
Sex trafficking? No.
There's a man named David James.
In furtherance of the conspiracy. That's
you
what
want the predicate act? I got you, predicate act, okay?
How is that in furtherance of the conspiracy?
Hold on,
ready? David James is an assistant. He works for Bad Boy Records. He works for Diddy. Diddy ordered, he testified under oath this week. Diddy ordered him into that car and said the words, "Drive, MFer." And he had 3 guns in the car. And David James said he was so in fear for his life, he quit the job because of that night. They were headed to Suge Knight. That, my friend, is using your staff, coercing them to work in furtherance of a crime.
Actually, you don't understand, Rico. That is not that is a bad act. That's a bad act. It's not
Every
an
time
act in
anybody
furtherance of the
disagrees with you, they
conspiracy.
don't understand
the
the
law. It has to be
law.
an act in furtherance of the conspiracy. What act is that
You're
in
off the
furtherance of
rails,
the
man.
racketeering conspiracy?
Nancy, I have a feeling I'm with you on this.
Assault, you've got an arson, you've got transporting prostitutes. It's everything the state promised, and now they're delivering, and you are squirming, and you can't stand it. When Ashley was just explaining that to you, you were twisting and turning.
So, Ebony, hold on, Ebony.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they call Suge Knight? To me, this is 2 record companies where you're basically
of a pipe cleaner.
I'm sorry.
Joe.
This would impact the jury.
Hold it, Joe. Hold it, Joe.
All right.
Harvey,
Sorry,
I
Ebony.
couldn't agree. Hey, listen. I could not agree with you more, and here's why. There's some major history here that is literally life and death. Let us go all back 20, 25 plus years to when Sean Combs was standing side by side essentially throughout the career of Biggie Smalls. And you know who was standing side by side of Suge Knight? The legendary Tupac Shakur. We know that both of those gentlemen ultimately lost their lives to tragic gun violence. And I think from a narrative standpoint, Harvey, of course, Sean Combs is not being charged with murder as a part of the RICO statute, the RICO count, but I think it broadens the lens to just how much scope could be at play with the level of impact, coercion, scheme, and pattern of Sean Combs. And I think that would have been very powerful for this jury to hear.
Okay. Cassie's mom testified this week. And I found this really interesting. To call Cassie's mom, which Diddy did, and essentially blackmail her. So this is the email that Cassie sent her mom. The threats that have been made toward me by Sean Puffy Combs are that he is going to release 2 explicit sex tapes of me, one on Christmas Day, maybe before or right after, and another one sometime soon thereafter that. She goes on to say, he has also said that he will be having someone hurt me and Scott Miscotti, who is Kid Cudi, physically. So she ends up then getting a call, the mother, from Sean Combs. And Sean Combs demands $20,000 from the mother because Diddy supposedly loaned her the money. And the mother has to then mortgage the house to get the $20,000. Aside from thuggery, this seems to align with the notion that They were hanging these sex tapes over Cassie's head. He was. And at one point on an airplane, he made it explicit. Do a freak off or else I'm releasing them. I think this mother's testimony and the email is really damning for Diddy.
Yeah, the email's copied to the bookkeeper, by the way. The bookkeeper sends the wire instructions. So if you're looking for RICO, Joe Tacopina, when you use your bookkeeper to extort somebody for $20,000 within just a few days of sending that threat that you're going to release sex tapes. And when that mom gets on the stand and says, I was so fearful that my daughter was going to have sex tapes out, we mortgaged the house and we sent the $20,000.
But the mother was nowhere to be so in fear of the fact that Diddy kicked her teeth out of her goddamn mouth, gassed her head up, and kicked her spleen out of her motherfucking back, and did all the other horrible, awful things that she did. I don't know. I'm telling you, this could very well, because I don't trust a thing. This could have been orchestrated by Cassie from the jump on Diddy. Who knows? Who knows? This girl could have been somewhere, trumping the deck as far as what she could do. Say she finally realized that Diddy wasn't going to give her the life that she thought she was going to have with this 10 record deal shit. Who's to say that this girl didn't entrap Diddy? Because, okay, her mom is so in fear of her having X tapes out on her, but not all of the level of abuse that Diddy was doing to that girl, all of the nasty nature of the explicit X file freak-offs they was doing, wild card nights or whatever the hell, King Wild Nuts, whatever the hell. She didn't care about that. She didn't care about the fact that Cassie was laying down with multiple ex-partners a day, all day long, for 24 hours of the goddamn day, for weeks on end. Escorts and prostitutes. She never cared about that. That was just a whole other walk in the park. But she cared about when Diddy was going to put the X tapes out about him. What? Okay, Cassie emailed her mom and told her. Did her mom give proof that she actually paid it? Did she show evidence in court that said, I paid it, here's the evidence, here's the money trail of me having to pay Diddy to not leak X tapes of Cassie? Because if not, it's just hearsay. It's just her word against Diddy's.
And there are receipts when you send a wire and you use your bookkeeper in Bad Boy Entertainment to actually ask for the money and send wire instructions. I don't see how you get past that.
Diddy didn't ask for the money. Cassie did. Cassie asked for the money. Diddy, where's the evidence that Diddy said, I'm going to put X tapes out on you if you don't do X, Y, and Z? Cassie's email to mom, Diddy is threatening me. So she said it. He didn't say shit as far as we know. Show us he said it. All this, freak off that they recording her phone. But when it really needs to be recorded so we can understand what's going on after the setup fallout. Okay, it's starting to come to fruition. The setup, Cassie. Okay. That you have some evidence. Because I would hate to be Cassie and Diddy gets acquitted. I'm telling you, I would. He's probably going to be very angry with her. Back to United States versus Sean Combs. TMZ presents.
You'd be right. I mean, listen, I'm not saying every argument that the prosecution's making false. That is a good argument. What Ashley just said is a good argument. I would say the reason why Mark Agnifilo did not cross-examine her, and I think that was the right move, is because he basically said, I have no questions for you because you're her mother. You're supposed to corroborate her story. You're supposed to back her up. No, and no one would think you'd say anything otherwise.
That's not why he didn't ask her any questions.
Sure.
Joe. He didn't ask her any questions. No, there's plenty of mothers
that will be the argument
read
summation.
sketch.
Ebony, that's why he didn't do it. I'm telling you.
She seemed credible. She seemed credible. She seemed believable.
So what? So what? People lie through their teeth, knowing damn well they don't mean good on that shit. So what? She seemed credible. Y'all seem to want to lock Diddy up on some goddamn allegations, and that's not fair. Under his motherfucking human rights as a human being in 2025. This is not 1912. Where somebody could say you kissed a white girl and you get hung for it. We do have some level of rights in this country as black people, don't we? One would hope, right? So what? She said it. She seemed credible. So what? Did she prove it? Did she say, see, Diddy even emailed me. Diddy emailed me. He called me. He texted me. When he called me and texted me, I recorded it on my phone. This is the recording of Diddy telling me, if I don't give him $20,000 by midnight, he's going to release X tapes on Cassie. Beep. Or, here's the money I wired Diddy. Here's where I went down to the bank and got a loan out on my home. Here's where I sent it to Diddy. I wired it to Diddy. I got a check for Diddy or something. I handed Diddy the cash. Here's the fucking, I had the phone on record. I recorded Diddy and me saying, here's the money, Diddy. Please don't put out X tapes about my daughter. Something. So what? Cassie's mama said it. Who the fuck is Cassie's mama? Oh, she's the woman that didn't even protect Cassie up until the point of he was allegedly going to put out X tapes on her. Now, how many of us as parents, right, would jump at the first idea of somebody doing to our daughter what Diddy did to Cassie? How far would Diddy get down the street with your baby? Okay. We're up on United States versus Sean Combs. TMZ presents.
There were things that he could have asked her that he probably didn't know the answer to, which could have led him down a road that would have made it worse for his client. Listen, we've seen plenty of mamas be a hot-ass mess on the stand that are gifts to the defendant. So I think that she just happened to be an extraordinary witness. I will also ask you this, Joe, to Ashley's point she just made, which you rightly conceded was brilliant.
I'm going to say this. I'm sick of Diddy ass too. I don't like Diddy. I ain't never cared for Diddy's ass. So, lock him up if you can prove it. If not, y'all finna let a monster back out on the street, which y'all have been known to do.
Here's the thing, though. How do you go through that level of proof of the argument and then say, by the way, what Cassie was doing was voluntary? How do you play that flip-flop game?
Because you then have text messages from Cassie that say it was voluntary. You have Cassie setting up these freak-offs on her own, even without his direction. So there are things you have to balance that.
You don't think the jury, Joe, is going to say, well, she probably would have said anything, knowing that he could reach the very person put on the earth to protect her, which is her mother, and he proved that even the mother can't protect her.
That's one instance.
Oh, the ones that we got out the
jury could say
that,
but they also could say, "Come on." And sometimes she was maybe coerced, sometimes she wasn't. There's too much inconsistencies here.
How many times does she have to be coerced for it to be criminal?
But even one coercion equals sex trafficking. Just one coercion. But I do agree with Tacopina on this. To have the mother up there on the stand, Regina Ventura, to cross-examine her after all this jury's already heard, that would make them turn against not only the defense lawyer, but against the client, Sean Combs, as well. That's a really good tactic not to tear apart the mother. They took out a line of credit.
Or is it pimping and pandering? How many people need to be involved for it to be considered X trafficking? Or is it just a pimping and pandering case? Okay, that didn't come up. How many people need to be involved for sex trafficking for it to be a RICO charge? So to trigger a RICO charge for X trafficking, there must be a pattern, generally involving at least 2 occurrences of criminal conduct within a 10-year period. That means that more than one person likely needs to be involved in the act of trafficking for it to be considered a RICO violation. Did you hear that, Miss Nancy Grace? More than 2 people need to be trafficked, and at least more than one occurrence has happened. If not, it's just pimping and pandering charge.
On their home, they didn't have 20 grand because
pimping and pandering is a state level, not federal.
Sean Combs was extorting them. Another facet of criminal enterprise. It's getting one nail in the coffin after the next. That's just another one. And I think Kid Cudi and the mother, Miss Ventura, were the 2 strongest witnesses for the state.
Brian, what did the jury think about Regina Ventura?
I can only tell you what their faces registered. And it was a typical New York moment. You know, these New Yorkers have seen everything. Nothing phases them. They watched her walk in, and then they watched her walk out. It was very short. And what was very interesting was the whole issue of the 20 grand wire, because the defense pulled it out in the testimony that the money, days later, went right back into their account. So
they said it. They said it. Prove it. Like, I hear Diddy's, lawyers are the best in the country. Y'all better start showing it for to have Diddy's ass tucking and rolling into a federal penitentiary.
I think they felt bad for her, honestly. They looked at her with the glance you would give a woman whose child has just been on the witness stand for.
If I would have been a lawyer for Diddy, I'd have ate her alive. I wouldn't give a fuck about how meek, mild, old, none of that. Diddy's a high-profile, fucking wealthy person, which means defending his case can break or make my goddamn career. I'm gonna work, girl. Okay, I would have ate her alive on the stand. Period. Like, I hear you, Grandma. I hear you. Congratulations on your new grandbaby coming soon. Third baby with Alex Fine, the trainer back here that he hired for her. We see all of that. But can you please show me receipts of Diddy getting this money you sent? Show us. Where is it at? Because if you got it out the bank, there's a bank record. If you wired it, it's a record. If Diddy sent it back, it's a record of it.
Couple of days talking about the most intimate, most horrible parts of her life.
So
I think they appreciated hearing from Mom, but I don't know if it swayed them one way or the other.
I want to button something up because it's true that Diddy put the money back into her account a short time later. I think that makes him look worse because what it shows is that he just wants to show, here's the power I have over you. I think it makes him look awful putting the money back that way.
He extorted the money regardless of what he...
But does it put him at a high-level RICO charge criminal? Yeah, it's wrong. We've already came to the understanding that Diddy is a stinking ass person, okay? He's a mean, evil person, okay? Mr. Diddy, he the Grinch around New York City and shit. We see that, okay? We see that. Scrooge and shit. Okay? But does that make him, a person that could be charged or whatever, okay, in a RICO charge for this shit? How high of a level of crime is that he did? If y'all could prove that Cassie mama wired money I'm telling you, I feel like, girl, please, y'all done had a hung jury fucking with
He
me.
did with it. He
Gotta be like,
extorted
where the
them.
proof at? First, fuck all y'all. Where the proof at?
The power
Somebody
of
better
duos.
bring
Fox
some
Wednesday.
type of proof up in here for me to see and believe it's real, for me to send a man to federal prison or supermax in Colorado. Okay? So he could really be good, and he ain't did these level of crimes. He should be down there in the state penitentiary some goddamn where. So we're back up with United States versus Sean Combs. TMZ presents
on this panel, except for Harvey, who's a billionaire. But other than that, you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We know it was the psychological warfare piece, Nancy. It was never about $5 or $20,000. It was to prove I can make you do whatever I want you to do, and you can't.
Well, we already know Diddy's that powerful. We know that. We know Diddy is that powerful. Why? He's a billionaire. If Diddy was not able to make people do what he wanted them to do, he would not be a fucking billionaire. It takes that level of power. Stop playing with that juice before you spill it. To get people to do what you want them to do. That's how kings and queens rule over kingdoms. That's how presidents rule over countries. That's how generals rule over armies. And that's how billionaires rule over their empires, by getting them to do what they want people to do. Period.
Thing about it.
And to prove it to Cassie, Ebony, because you go after her mother, she'll do anything. She'll do anything rather than see her parents suffering like Regina.
How? According to Cassie and them, Cassie's mama was somewhere struggling while Cassie was living it up as a billionaire. As a billionaire's concubine or wannabe or whatever, his goddamn, what do they call him, y'all? When they use you as a person to like shield the fact that they really like boys type shit. I can't think of what it's called. But whatever. While Cassie mama was working a regular 9-to-5 job, old as she was, barely paying her fucking mortgage. Cassie couldn't even get Diddy to pay her mama mortgage, bitch. So I don't want to hear none of this shit.
Even Ventura did.
So when Johnny and Amber were fighting each other in court, TikTok owned that story. They really did. And TikTok was where people got their news, and it was all opinion based. But what was so interesting about it is that people listened and they formed opinions based on TikTok. It is happening again with Diddy. This is an incredibly powerful platform. Smack the Messenger is a very popular person on TikTok who was following the trial. Smack is joining us. I'm wondering, from your vantage point, and especially with all the people who look at your platform and what you do, how are people receiving it so far?
So I do polls every day when I do my lives in the afternoon to kind of go over the court case during the day. And right now, the last one we did yesterday, it was 54% said he was guilty. And it was like 40-something% said that he wasn't. The rest of the people in my live said that they don't know yet. It's still 50-50. But honestly, in the lives on TikTok and from the people talking from the outside of the courtroom, we're more so arguing about is he charged with the right things? Honestly, a lot of people don't think that that RICO is the proper charge, and also the sex trafficking. With what you guys were just talking about, I honestly think that they are putting the nails in the coffin. I think it's just little by little, and I think that because we're outside of the case, we just know everything from the past, and we're so ready to get to the point. But for the most part, though, a lot of people are arguing over, are these the right charges?
RICO in particular?
RICO in particular, and also the sex trafficking, because it's a back and forth of, was Cassie truly involved with it, or was she a victim? It just depends on who you ask.
Well, you know, it's interesting because you said it's almost 50-50 when you put polls up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's called a hung jury if it's a jury.
Correct.
Thank you.
Right?
Exactly.
And, you know, in some ways, guys, a hung jury is a victory for the defense because then they get to see the prosecution's case.
It's so different in the courtroom than it is out in the headlines, guys. Honest to God, when you sit through these cases in the courtroom and you listen to every bit of testimony, and by the way, these jurors have nothing else to do but listen to what's happening in front of them all day long, then you get a very different picture. I can tell you from experience,
Ashley, you're
the days that I've
right.
been in court compared to the days I've just seen the headlines, people outside don't understand some of these verdicts sometimes.
Correct.
Casey Anthony, and I don't want to get Nancy started on Casey Anthony, but if you don't sit through the case and hear all of the evidence, you don't understand what the actual case and the actual evidence
Ashley, you're
leads
right.
to.
And the difference between a federal trial that is not televised and it's only reported, as opposed to the trial I just went through with A$AP Rocky in Los Angeles that was televised, and everyone got to see every witness and every question asked and sit like a juror. If they really watched the whole trial, they were sitting like a juror. You get to actually analyze it. In federal court, there are no cameras, so there's no way you could assess if the case is going well for one side or the other unless you're sitting in that courtroom and watching every bit of testimony, not reading a two-paragraph analyzation by somebody.
I got to stop everybody because you're doing something really wrong. How many witnesses will it take that state she had knots on her head? I saw him drag her by her hair. I saw him hit her in the head with a frying pan, a hot frying pan full of eggs. It goes on and on and on, and we're still talking about.
So, I mean, what? Just because Diddy's a billionaire, y'all want to give him a RICO charge because he domestically assaulted Cassie? Because a whole lot of us have gone through domestic violence situations and still are. And we haven't seen one federal agent kick in our goddamn door and take our goddamn abusers out of here and drag them off to fucking federal court. So what is it? Just because Diddy's a billionaire, so that takes it back to his lawyer saying that's the reason why y'all are attacking him at the fucking federal level.
You too, Smack. You too. Was she in on it? I mean, he hit her in the head with a frying pan.
You hurled that at Smack. Smack, what's your response?
So with me, I try to stay neutral in this because I really like to let the courts do their job. These are the arguments that we have because I make it a safe space in my platform to let both sides talk. I don't even tell my opinion, but just like you're saying, Nancy, I understand that part. He was a horrible person in a relationship, and I agree with that. Everybody, I think, can agree with that.
A whole lot of us. Okay, so after y'all come and get Diddy, I got a few motherfuckers I know y'all need to round up. So get the paddy wagon ready. I got a few motherfuckers y'all need to round up that are also some despicable, disgusting ass Mr. Grinch ass motherfuckers, okay? After y'all get done with Diddy, y'all get the paddy wagons because I got some niggas I need y'all to come pick up around where we at.
But like I said, the main argument at hand for the most part is it RICO and is it sex trafficking? And I feel like
hell,
we shouldn't even be talking about
that. I got a list of men I need you to grab up.
How many women is it going to take? How many more victims to say he beat me, he drugged me, I didn't go along with this, I didn't want this? What? They're all lying, and he is the only one telling the truth. That's BS.
Well, Miss Nancy, he did, or she did, Cassie did testify to her wanting it at times. Diddy being her pop, that she used to reference her dear grandfather as. She gave Diddy that loving, enduring nickname of her grandfather. Y'all carry on. We're watching TMZ Presents United States versus Sean Combs and giving it our review. Let's get it.
Respond to that, Smack. I mean, she's making a point that she's saying you're ignoring the evidence that there is time after time when she's been beaten, and you're being really insensitive to a situation that Nancy is saying is apparent.
I don't think I'm being insensitive. I think that, like I said, I'm going with what they have in the court so far. And yes, they have presented the fact that he was doing that to Cassie. I agree with that. I agree wholeheartedly.
You didn't hear about that frying pan, man? Frying pan to the head? Insensitive, my rear end. That is hard evidence.
Why I didn't lock up Ike Turner when he smacked Tina Turner in the goddamn head?
I understand that, but we asked me a question. I gotta have time to answer.
Smack,
I get what you're saying, and I agree. I agree with what you're saying as well. But like I said, the arguments that I have been hearing, because I don't put my own inputs in, they have been, okay, well, we know that he was a horrible person in a relationship, but what was Cassie's role in this? And to
Smack,
know who Sean Combs is and who Cassie is.
Let me help you, Smack. Let me help you, Smack. Here you go. So this is where the prosecution needs to bring in another expert of the caliber of Dr. needs to bring in another expert of the caliber of Dr. Don Hughes to explain to Smack and his followers that, guess what? Oftentimes, Smack, victims of sex trafficking get roped into the execution of the trafficking. That is extraordinarily common.
In my live, Dr. Hughes was a horrible witness to the people who were in my live, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because when they started asking about Cassie's feelings toward what was happening in the relationship, how did she respond to Diddy? My followers didn't like the fact that she started talking about like taking your laptop away, as if she was prepared to incorporate what happened with Diddy with how she looked at the entire situation. They feel like she was coerced by the prosecution.
Okay.
What?
So, Smack,
So it's a total different view on TikTok from what's going on outside or on
I think I can
or
summarize this.
And
I think I can summarize
I'm glad
this,
he
Harvey,
said that because that's another thing that happened to Cassie. When she didn't do what Diddy said, he took her computer, he took her watch, he took her car, he took her phone, he kicked her out of the apartment. I mean, what more do you people need to be convinced that she was coerced?
Ashley?
Okay, I think the confusing thing for a lot of people, and I think Smack makes a really good point, his followers are half and half on this because they're not informed. And what's really interesting about this case is that RICO's complicated. They see a hotel video of Cassie getting beaten up and they say, this isn't domestic violence. That's not what's charged. And that's what Smack's followers are saying. I don't get it. What's this RICO business? He's beating her up and that's not RICO. Well, Smack, I think what your followers need to know, and I think you could probably do a really good post on this, is that RICO has 37 different crimes under it. And let me just list out a couple of them because they really pertain to the evidence that we've been hearing. Assault, forced labor, bribery, distribution of a controlled substance, extortion, kidnapping, witness tampering, sex trafficking, drug trafficking. And so if the followers heard...
But it has levels. There's levels to this shit. He did do all of that shit that you said. Allegedly and you know what I'm saying? Truthfully. We saw him beat Cassie up. We saw him assault her. Is that on the level of a RICO charge? Have y'all proved that? Did she say, when he beat me up on the video that y'all saw, he took me back in the hotel room and he made me, force me. Oh my God. Yeah. We could see that because that's what I thought happened. But she didn't say that on her testimony.
That there was a conspiracy kidnapping's in there. If the followers hear that there is an enterprise, because RICO requires an enterprise. Bad boy led by Diddy, who sends his employees out to help in all these crimes.
Didn't you guys see Sopranos,
and these crimes are committed. Then you get RICO.
I'm not going to brag, but I was in Sopranos.
It's not that hard. Turn on HBO, watch Sopranos.
It is very hard.
Sopranos is the head of the snake.
And watch season 1, episode 2 as well.
It's very hard.
Two more
Y'all
points.
got evidence.
Done.
Dawn Richard kind of got eviscerated on cross-examination. She is the member of Danity Kane. Brian, says Brian, come in. How did Dawn Richard do in the stand?
I was sitting there on the third row. Look, she walked in, stunning. She was ready for battle, and then she came back for her next day.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Diddy was probably too high to be a RICO ex-trafficker, drug dealer of all of these sorts of things. Diddy couldn't even get out of bed. He was up all day and night freak-a-leaking for weeks on end. He was the head conglomerate of a Metrotonic. Goddamn. Yeah, right. Diddy probably would have got killed. He probably would have got killed. I ain't even gonna hold you. Because he was always high, slipping and sliding around on baby oil. Like, get the fuck out of here. Where do y'all see that? Because we know that's what RICO charges bring.
Nicole Westmoreland from Team Diddy got up. As I've said before, she ate Dawn's lunch. This was the first time we had heard Westmoreland open her mouth in court. She was powerful. She was mighty. She was on the attack.
No,
she was all business.
She
and
was
she
a
was
hot
going
man.
down in very
Like she did in recent interviews.
Attack issue number one was the frying pan, because Dawn Richard had testified. Well, Diddy hit her.
Dawn didn't come out the goddamn woodwork until she thought she could get some money.
Or when she was
Like
meeting with
Dave
prosecutors,
said,
she told the prosecutors, I don't know if it was hitting. I think he attempted to hit her. And then Nicole Westmoreland went to town on that. And she said, well, I don't recall. Is it hard for you to keep your story the same? Asked Westmoreland. Well, I'm telling it to the best of my recollection, said Dawn. And then Nicole comes in. Well, you've had 4 different recollections. And this went on and on. And I'm watching the jury. And the ladies on one of the rows in the jury row are going like this. I mean, it was resonating. But it all kind of came to a head toward the end of the cross when Nicole was asking about the civil litigation that Cassie, right after Cassie had dropped her suit, Dawn Richard had dropped her suit. And the question was, hey, you should have gone to the cops. Why did you go to a civil attorney? And then it went on, and these are my notes. I can't wait to put these in a frame when I get back to Florida. But basically, it was, why were you suing? Well, I was hoping for justice, said Dawn. And then Nicole said, no, you were hoping for money.
Thank you.
This is really good. Dawn says, well, I wanted to be made whole. I wanted to be compensated for the work that I did.
Because you was just talking about how you wasn't doing none of that
she had filed
on some interview
and then
I
Nicole
watched.
says, compensation means money, right?
Okay, well, look.
And Dawn says yes, and
Joe,
that was no more questions, Your Honor.
Joe, this was your point about money for months.
Yep. I mean, you know, you're a victim of a crime, especially a crime as horrific as this. Go to the police. You want justice? Go to the police. Get the perpetrator off the street. Get him arrested. You don't wait years and then go to a civil lawyer, a money lawyer, and just get money. That's not seeking justice. That's seeking money. And that was the distinction that was made at the end of this cross-examination. A fair, certainly a fair line of inquiry. Happened also obviously with Cassie. No one went to the police.
Sorry,
no one reported this to the police ever. But people went to get money.
We're not going to mention the fact that Cassie was barred from going to the police because of statute of limitations, and the only reason she was able to sue was because of a brand new piece of legislation called the Look Back Act here in New York City. We're just not going to talk about that,
No,
Joe?
that's a civil thing. That's a civil thing. Rape in New York there is no statute of limitations for that crime. She could have easily today, if she wants, to the precinct right down the road there, next to the courthouse.
For the
you can go get him arrested.
Because you know, as a brilliant, successful criminal defense lawyer, how very difficult it is if you don't have a rape kit, if you don't have DNA. That's a very high burden to meet. Very high, especially years after the fact, which is when she was able to speak on her trauma.
Okay, last thing. So one of the pieces of evidence that came in this week was a drug, ecstasy. And the prosecution made a point of saying that it had President Obama's face on it. Was this a cheap trick because Barack Obama is beloved in New York?
I don't even know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
A cheap trick by who? Sean Combs for having ecstasy in Obama's face shape? Or are you trying to say the state planted this? Sean Combs did that to himself. So if anybody's tricking anybody, it's him, not the prosecutors.
That's just color, but I'm going to tell you something about MDMA that matters to RICO, and this is for you, Joe, because I keep tying it all back to RICO. I'm excited by all the color in the courtroom, but I tie it all back.
He was asking about
we're going to talk about MDMA
face.
for a hot minute.
I bet she's going to talk about the assistant that had to go buy it.
Thank you very much. George Kaplan said that he was twice sent on missions. Call this number, get my dealer, go get the drugs, bring them back, bring them to me, here's the cash. And at one point, in one of those instances, he looked, whoa, hold hold it. He looked in the bag and he said it was ecstasy. In the other instance, he said he didn't look in the bag. But I think he closed the loop and became a drug trafficker in the enterprise of Bad Boys Diddy Records because the boss sent him as an assistant to go and drug traffic for him.
He's not trafficking drugs. There's no evidence that he sold drugs. Ashley, a drug trafficker doesn't buy drugs for themselves. They sell drugs. That's what trafficking is.
Thank you.
Drug traffickers don't purchase drugs. That's a purchaser.
Sean Combs sent his assistant to buy drugs.
But that's a mule.
How much? Was it a metro? Was it a kilo? Was it a few kilos? Was it a metro ton? How much did he send him? Because we talk about Diddy now. Diddy's a fucking billionaire. Diddy got money. Diddy can afford to get some keys and some motherfucking tons of drugs. Was he flooding them streets with them things? What was going on?
Right, that happened in court. Count it. The assistant, the other assistant.
Wait a minute. But Nancy, hold on. I think Joe's point is trafficking means putting it out, not buying it.
Buying it.
Unless I'm totally misunderstanding.
It was a crime to buy a controlled substance.
Right.
And he had his minion go do it. It's a criminal enterprise. Don't you
was
get
handing
it?
it out like candy. Harvey, come on.
Okay.
Like Flintstone vitamins.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
We're going to end on Barack Obama then. Listen, guys, thank you.
This is 3-on-1.
That's a whole other story, which we're going to get
Can't
into.
take a Tacopina? You need your buddy?
Call me Joe. I call you Nancy. Don't go Tacopina. I don't call you Grace.
No, that's a term of endearment, Joe. You have to understand.
Okay. All right.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We are going to be on top of next week because this is where the prosecution is going to have to start tying all of this together into a story, a singular story, because right now there are pieces. Next week is where it's either going to come together
or it's going to fall apart.
Not. And those are high stakes. So thank you, guys. We will see you next week.
Y'all, that was TMZ presents the United States. We're going to go back over to the tube and see what they're wrapping up for Diddy Day 12. Okay. And then we're going to wrap up our tea talk on Diddy Day 10 through 12. Okay. So Diddy updates for the day. Let's go with law and crime. You know, they wrap up the day with their Diddy talk. Thank you guys so much for coming in, filling up your teacup, being polite, eloquently liking and subscribing. Okay, chiming off, dropping those teacups. Saw a few of you guys dropping tea cups in the chat. I really appreciate that. I think we've already wrapped up law and crime for the day, unless they have a sidebar. So why don't we go ahead and wrap it up day 12, right? We heard a lot of testimony from hold on, let me get this. The hairstylist, Deontay Nash, right? We heard him to how he's witnessed Cassie be abused. He's witnessed Cassie, potentially telling him things of the nature of she didn't want to do freak offs on her birthday, right? We heard him testify to those sentiments. Let's see. Capricorn Clark testified to a lot, right? It doesn't make Diddy look good in any area of life, right? Like his professional life is probably ruined completely in the entertainment sector as far from where he was standing at. You see what I'm saying? He probably ain't gonna be get no type of deals or promotions or sponsors or anything. Who knows? He might be sponsoring God knows what by the time Diddy get acquitted and get out anytime if he gets the time. But not for nothing. Okay. Just a lot of stuff. She allegedly kidnapped her. Okay. It's all of that, yes, can go into RICO charges depending on the level of where that's at. We know people that have got kidnapping charges that are not in federal prison, right? Where are they at? State prison. Okay. Unfortunately, state didn't pick it up. Feds did, and this is where we are with Diddy. So, she talked about how she saw Cassie get beat up. She saw Cassie, very violently get offended, assaulted by Diddy. Okay. She talked about how he, threatened her very, severely, scared her, terrified her. He threatened her to the level of, she was deathly, terrifiedly afraid for her life. Okay. If she didn't do what he asked her to do. And, we believe that they were some level of crime, but it wasn't specifically said what the crimes were, so we don't know. And if they're RICO or whatever, we just don't know. So, then there's the, personal assistant Mia, right? She testified. She's coming in under a Jane Doe so that Diddy doesn't know who she is. Supposedly, Diddy, is not supposed to know who this person is. But she alleged that Diddy aped her several times over the course of her employment with Diddy. Now, Diddy aping his employees is not a good thing, right? That's not a good thing ever. Can they prove that he aped her? We don't know yet. We don't know. I don't know. She testified to getting an ape kit or whatever. We just don't know. So we're wrapping up days 10 through 12, right? Of who testified, how explosive testimonies were, for which side do we think, would benefit more for an acquittal or a convicted outcome. We just got to continue to wait and see, guys. We're almost wrapped up with the full month. Tomorrow, I think, will be 4 weeks of the Diddy trial. So that means we may have like a month and 2 weeks left. We'll see how long. This could go out to like Young Thug type, like wasn't Young Thug and like under trial for like a year or some change or something. I don't know. But not for nothing, y'all, because I don't really, do the Young Thugger. So not for nothing, y'all. We have to see, right? We don't know where things really quite truly are going to land for either side. Right now, I don't think the prosecution really has a case. But what they got so far, I'm just going to be honest. And if you go back and watch any of my previous lives that I've uploaded and done, you already know, like there was so much crazy stuff coming out about Diddy. We were like, girl, Diddy is going to fry. They are going to electrocute Diddy's ass, okay? But nothing's came out to that level. So we're going to have to see, y'all, and just get back to it. I have to get back to my own live. I've been live all day covering Diddy stuff. So thank you guys so much for sipping tea with Tanisha Talks Teas. I'm going to see you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Remember to stay blessed, stay out the way, keep your, what was that? Oh, I thought I was done streaming that. I was just playing. Okay, anyway. Keep your head on swivel and your loved ones close to your chest. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. Remember, subby over there on YouTube. I only need one more subscriber to subscribe to reach 1,000 subbies on YouTube, right? And then we can monetize over here. Very, very soon, we can be monetized on our YouTube platform and let this work continue to work for us. Okay, we have added Kick to the platforms. So we need 250 kickers to kick it off. Okay. And we'll be monetized over there. We are currently monetized on Facebook and Twitch. Thank you guys so much for loving on Tanisha as I love on y'all. I will always continue to give y'all the tea that I got to spill with y'all, okay? So y'all tune in. Hit that notification bell to know when I'm going live. However, have you just follow me on all social media platforms, and you'll see me going live. You'll know when I'm live. Thank you guys for being here. Remember, stay sipping. Bye. Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support. Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, stay inspired and remember, always stay sipping.